Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Cardcraft. Thanks for joining me again today. A little bit different today. What I want to do is a reference guide for you all. I quite often get comments regarding different products, how to use different things and all the rest. And I always try and answer them to the best that I can. Sometimes it's easier to show them. So we're going to start with a few today, and I want to run through different glues. I want to run through blades, knives, etc., because you'll see that I usually use that. That's my weapon of choice as such. I want to run through different ways to fussy cut, because I love fussy cutting and I know a lot of people are scared of it. How to use your clear stickers, how to get that back off. And then I want to run into removing signatures again from a book. Now, those of you that have been following my altered book series will know in part one I showed you that, but I thought this would just be a quick reference that you can always just go back to, that'll have all these, and then of course just the basic gutting of a book. So first things first, glues. Now glues will be a personal preference, they really will, but the main ones I use are my white liquid glue. Now I use Couture Creations, which is an Australian brand. You can see I love my glue and I use it for everything. So it's because my hands are always inky, it gets dirty and all the rest. I just love it. These are little stoppers. They're actually knitting needle stoppers that I use on the top of mine. A friend gave these ones to me, but I have seen them in Wish, I think, had them, but they're under knitting needle tips. So they usually come in a pack of 5 or something like that. There's different hand gestures. I don't think any of them are rude, but there's different hand gestures. So this is an original all-purpose art glue. It is a white glue. I'll grab my actual glue book. And you'd think I would have checked that this was working. No, there it is, see? So it'll give me a fine tip. These are separate. When you purchase glues like this, they will have just this normal tip. You can buy these tips separately. They will come with a tip and a stainless steel pin to pop in there. My problem with the pins is that I'm forever being too quick and I will bend my pins. Hence why a friend gave me these. Now, this would be similar to the art glitter glue, which a lot of the Americans use. I know it's a little bit used here in Australia, but not to the same extent. So it's very, very similar to art glitter glue. The tip on the end will give me a nice, fine, even line for when I'm sticking on pockets, things like that. So he is my go-to glue. I'll use that for fussy cutting, for delicate things, for pockets, as I said before, that sort of thing. The main glue to stick down papers. Right, and here's the argument most of us have. Glue sticks. Some of us love them, some of us hate them. I never used to use glue sticks. I have been in the papercraft industry for almost 30 years. From just doing it as a hobby in the 90s to having my own papercraft store from 2007 to 2015 or 16, something like that. And I never used glue sticks. I don't know whether they've changed them these days, but again, in saying that, not all glue sticks are great. And since getting into the journaling world, I have glue sticks are so much easier for when we want to cover something. So let's have a look. So here's just an old 3x4 inch. These days it'll be a journaling card. Before it was like a project life card or something like that. So for me, a glue stick would be used to cover that. And I know this is a pretty little pattern, but I've got oodles of these and I use them now to make my own journaling cards. And these ones especially that will have the grids on the back. So I want to cover that with a piece of book paper. Now, I like blue glue. The reason I like the blue glue is that I can see where I've put it on. So if you're putting glue on your project, All right, make sure you get to the ends. I can see exactly where I've got it if I'm using the blue glue, okay? If I use a clear one, I find that I have trouble working out where it is that I want to go. So I want to use anywhere on this page. So I'm just going to turn that over. And I'm going to adhere that somewhere up there. Like so. I'm going to stick that down. So I've put my glue on my smaller piece. I've stuck that down and I'm going to push, I'll just find that, with a scraper. Now this is a pot scraper, but a bone folder if you like, something flat, an old credit card or store card or something like that, which will just push it down. I then like to turn it over and push again. Now just watch if you're using old book pages that they're not too fragile and you rip them. So when I'm doing this, I will let it click to the bottom of where my journaling card comes across there. And what I'm doing is actually bending it round where the edges of my card is. Okay, so I'm just going up. I can feel it go down and across. That way I feel I get a better adhesion to it. And I've got it nice and there's no bubbles or anything like that. Okay, so that's glue sticks. Now, as I said before, I have been through many glue sticks and I was a big lover for a long, long time of the Boss Stick glue sticks. Not the white. Grabbed these by mistake one day. I like the blue ones, but I have found in the last year or so, they must have changed the recipe because these are nowhere near, and you can see I've started to use that one, these are nowhere near as permanent, I suppose would be the best way, as I like to have them, as we all like to have them. If you glue something down, you want it to stay down. So I've gone on to the Yoo-Hoo sticks again in the blue. They must have changed again. I grabbed one a while back, which was a Yoo-Hoo, but it was a different label, and I found that one didn't work as good as my normal ones. Every now and again, we get a dodgy one. It just is what it is. I buy these now in 2 packs. I usually buy them from a supermarket when they've got stationery on special, and I will buy 1 or 2. They're usually out at half price, so I'll grab a couple of 2-pack boxes at a time so that I've always got them sitting here. The only reason I won't use a glue stick, or I'm concerned about a glue stick, is because when the weather is really, really hot, I'm just going to chop this out while we're talking. When the weather is really, really hot, I find that it dries way too quickly. So what will happen is you won't get that great bond because so much of it has dried too quickly while you're putting it on. It takes a little bit to put on and then to stick down and all the rest. And I'll find that if I've fiddled around a little bit, it is dry before I've got the full thing adhered down. So you'll quite often see me in videos where I will use some extra white glue, or I will use my double-sided tape as well. And that is usually because the weather has got too hot and they are drying too quick. So it's just something to watch if you're in a hot area or something like that. I'll do another one while I'm there because I'm going to use both of these. If you're in a hot area, just watch that with your... I've got a couple of pages floating around here. Let's have a look. There's another one. Just watch what you're doing with them, as I said before. Now, the other thing I like to use is, I'm just going to put this one down while we're talking about it. So today, for us, summer's almost at an end over here in Australia. It is mid-late February. So we're not, in saying so, we had a 42-degree day on Tuesday. Today, I think we're on about 20. So, you know, it's changing all the time. I want that page because there's full of writing. It doesn't matter what I'm covering up here. Let's cover up those horrible nasties. Right, give it a push down. Push it down this way. And then turn it over. Push it down again till you go over that little section. That'll just allow it. Now, the last one I cut with my scissors. This one in a moment we're going to cut with a blade. Okay, so a few other glue choices. If you're going to cut with a blade, you need to wait for it to dry completely. With scissors, you can cut it out straight away. With a blade, you just need to wait for it to dry a bit. So I'm just going to sit that to the side. Glue, the other glues I use Hilmar's fabric glue. Now, in America, I think Fabri-Tac would be the equivalent. I use this for when I'm putting down my lace, putting down fabrics in certain areas. If I'm concerned that it's going to show through my lace or anything else, because it will come out. Oh, look, here we go. I've got one of these. So when you put this out, apart from it being messy, you'll get a line when it comes through. I'm hoping you'll be able to see this. Come on, come on. I don't use it that often. It's only for when I'm really doing lace. And as you can, oh, here it comes. Right. And so it'll give me a line, but it's not a really fine line. And once the weather heats up, it will just keep oozing out. So there's my section, okay? But if I've got a hot day, if I want to do fabric that I'm worried that I'm going to get a glue spot like that through, what I will do is I will put it out. So you can see that it's starting to get a bit thicker now anyway. I'll just do that amount. All right, and then what I actually do is I have a little silicone brush and I will put it down like so. That way I don't end up, and then that makes all that sticky instead of just that line. So it spreads that glue out a little bit. You don't end up with that big dollop that's going to show through fabric or anything else. And these are great. I've had this one for quite a while, but they're everywhere these days. You can see again my inky hands. And once the glue's dried, you can just peel it straight off. So that works a treat for when I'm putting on fabric, little thin line for when I'm putting on lace. Unless, of course, I'm doing a big wide lace. So that's, you can see, that's the other problem I don't like with that. It's a lot like a hot glue gun, as in it will string. It's just one of those things. You can use a hot glue gun as well. I tend not to because it's just one more thing that I've then got plugged in here, and they really get stringy and it drives me dippy. Two other types of glue, just to really confuse you. If I'm... All right, we'll go back to this one because this one's all nicely done now, and I need glue stick, my glue piece of paper. Right, mediums, matte mediums, Mod Podge matte mediums, etc. Personal choice. I personally like this. I'm not a big Mod Podge lover, have never been a big Mod Podge lover. Even back in the old days, we used to sell it. We'd sell the paper one, the matte one, the satin one, the gloss one. And really there wasn't much else on the market, so that's what we used, either the paper one or the matte one. But they always left a kind of a tacky, sticky residue, so that even once it was dry, you could still kind of feel it on there. Got onto the matte mediums a couple of years ago, and the Liquitex one, I've had 2 or 3 different ones, but I love the Liquitex one. I really love the Liquitex one, and you'll see that I love it so much because I've actually broken the lid off because I use it so much. Now, you can use this for gluing larger pieces down. Great for if you want to completely cover an entire sheet, and you don't want to run around with this and then have the problem of it drying and all the rest. That's where this comes into its own. But the main reason that this works a treat is, and I'm going to have this ready first, is, here we go, gluing down serviettes. So, I've put it away. So this one I've already taken the backing off. So, oh no, I haven't. I've got one here without the backing taken off so that we can show you that as well. Right, so a serviette. I've got a little bit of book page on there. Great way to use up your book pages. Grab a serviette. I've just tried to find one that did have a backing on it. Now, backings. How do we get them off? Sometimes they're nice and easy like this. This one is a 2-ply, 3-ply. Let's just have a look. Fingernails work a treat. If you don't have fingernails, that's it. This one just comes off. Let's go to another corner. If you don't have fingernails, you can use a little bit of sticky tape. Pop a little bit of tape up on the end. Peel it off. It'll peel each layer back. Or you can use a pin. Okay? I always have pins on my desk. And I find... There you go. Look at that straight away. There's one. I had the other one a minute ago. That's there. Okay, there's two. So a pin will work as well. So if you don't have nails, use your pins or a piece of sticky tape, scotch tape, you know, that sort of tape. What you want to do, I'm taking 2 off at once because I want just this, and I want it clear enough to be able to see a little bit of my script underneath. Some of them come off easier than others. Sit you over there. Don't chuck that out. I'll stamp all over that and use it again as another couple of layers. So here it is. Let's work out. I quite like this section just here, actually. I really like that. Okay, so that's the bit that I want to go on. Now, serviettes will invariably want a pucker and all the rest. I'll set that there. What I'm going to use is my matte medium, a wider brush. So this is a little 1-inch mixed media type brush. If I'm doing a really large page or in a large area, I'll go on to that sort of thing, which would be, I don't know, nearly 2 inches, I reckon. Let's have a look. Yep, 2 inches wide. So it's double the width. Either of those, but if I'm just doing something small like this, I will use that one. Now, you can put this into a little paper plate, palette, something like that. But invariably, if I do that, I pull out way too much and I'm wasting my glue. So I have a tendency these days just to tip it straight on my project. I know. But I have more of an idea if I just pop a little bit on there and then I can keep popping it on. So a little goes a long way. So you can see that all that's being done. I'm going to put a little bit more down the bottom. They just drop out like so. That it doesn't dry as quick as your glue sticks. Right, that's on. I move that one again. Leave my brush over there with that. And I want to put that on there. So I'm just going to go over. Sit that on there. And now I'm going to smooth it over with my hand, bit by bit by bit. As I've said before, I don't mind if they crinkle a little bit because I quite like the look of that. Don't use your scraper, your card or anything else to then scrape this, because what it'll do, say that again. What it will do is it will tear your serviette because it's so fine and now it's wet, it will want to just tear it. Now, if you like, you can pop another layer of your matte medium over the top, which will seal it. For me personally, that's overkill. and I don't have time to wait for them to dry and all the rest. I usually just want to work. If it is something I'm doing on the cover of a journal, that's a different story. So if I've covered a journal, a book, whatever, with a serviette, and I quite often do, then I will do a top coat in the matte medium, because it just seals it. It means that nothing's likely to pick or lift up even slightly during its life, because it's had that extra coat going over the top. So that's well and truly stuck on there. And I'm just going to roughly go around this, because you can either cut this off. I'm just going to, you can tear around it. You can trim it so that it's the right size, or what I quite often do with serviettes, move that one, and I will get, not that drawer. That's because it's not in any drawer, it's sitting beside me. I will get some sandpaper. Sandpaper in a block, or just sandpaper from my husband's workshop, and a piece of wood or whatever else. And I will sand down there. So you can see that's coming off. And I haven't had to wait as long as if I've glue sticked it. You know what I mean? Okay? So then I can work my way around my corners. It gives it just that softer edge. You can do this with papers, with anything you've glued down. It's up to you, but it does give it a nice, fine, vintaged edge. Okay? So I always have these sitting around. I've got normal sandpaper in my drawer down there. This was meant to be in my drawer, but it was still sitting on my desk to the side, where I've used it obviously during the week for something else. And I use them for all sorts of things, including if I've taken a book apart because there's things in there that I want to use and it's slightly glossy. Most of my things that I do are in a vintaged, heritagey type theme, so I will sand them back, which gives it that softer look. It's taken a little bit of colour out of it. It's taken some of the gloss out of it, but it still fits the genre that I like to work in. So there's that one. So now we have that. How easy was that? That is matte medium. One more type of glue I like to use. And this is a specialised glue, and I keep it in that so that I remind myself. It comes with its tip. And that is the E6000. If I put you back there, you'll see that. Take you out, Kylie. Right, E6000. I use this for two reasons. It is a really, really strong, permanent hold, okay? I will use it if I am putting signatures, a hidden signature, into a journal. I've used an old book. I've gutted an old book, and now I've done pre-made signatures, and I've now decided to do a hidden journal. I do have a video of how to do hidden journals, but if I've done a large one, the little small ones are fine, but if I've done a larger one, and for me a large one's about that, if I've done a larger one, I will use the E600 to bond my chipboard of my hidden signature to the inside of my cover. I have found through the years that no other glue works the same. You can't guarantee, just because when you make a journal you're nice and careful with it and you look at it lovingly and all the rest, that everybody else is going to do the same. Because some of my journals get sold at an unattended market, I suppose would be the best word for it. Lots of stalls there, and I'm not there specifically selling them. I just stock my stalls. All sorts of people touch them and all the rest. So in the very early days of doing that, I realised that I had some of my hidden signatures starting to come apart where they were glued. So after many trials and tribulations, the E600 was what I found that held my hidden signatures into my covers the best. and it glued it beautifully, and I couldn't pull them apart. So that's why I have that one. It is there, as I said, for a specific purpose. It doesn't sit on my desk. It stays in a drawer further over, and I just pull it out for really that reason. The only other reason I might use it is if I've got a really funny shaped, what do I have here? Let's have a look. Really funny shaped metal embellishment that I'm not quite certain, especially if they're going, again, on the front cover, okay? I've got two there. There you go. If I'm a bit uncertain with how they're going to go with my other glues, usually my fabric glue would be the strongest to stick something down. But with this one, instead of having to fill all this with foam or chipboard or something like that, I will use my E600 glue in this, and that will stick those sorts of things down. So that's what that one's for. So that's covered the glues. I hope if you've got any other questions about glues, please let me know. Right, so we've got that. We've got our other one over here that we're going to cut. Now we're going to go into blades. Put those scissors away. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you'll know that I use a blade and a ruler. Again, when I started, there wasn't much else out there. They were what we call standing knives, you know, the pull-out knives and all the rest. And then these sorts of blades. So blades come in lots of different forms. So I've still got quite a few left from running classes and stuff like that. So I've got 4 different types of blades there. This is the one I use. It's an ergonomic one. So you'll see that it's fatter here, thinner in here, and it sits in my hand beautifully. It's like a biro, okay? It's like how you write. My pointer finger is on the top. It gives plenty of room for that. I have arthritis in this finger, and I don't have to put as much pressure, and my finger sits beautifully in there. This one's a Fiskars brand, and you can still get them. They might be a little bit hard to find. In Australia, I can get them at Officeworks. So have a look wherever you can buy your Fiskars things. That's where you should be able to find them. But I love them. So much so that I have 2. Standard blade is something like that. So you can see this one's rusty. It's about ready to be chucked. This is what they generally look like. If you go out and buy a normal knife blade, this is what you'll get. But for me, because it's thinner, when my finger's bad, it doesn't want to stay on there properly. And I think that's why a lot of people are concerned about knives and all the rest. So, yes, these ones come with a lid too, but I lose the lids within the first week. So that's that one. Still the same size blade as that, but just a completely different setup. So, you know, that might work a treat for you. Believe me, they're cheaper than these. These are not too bad, but these ones are cheaper than these. But with my fingers, with my arthritis, these are the ones that work for me. Then you go into short blades. So this is a standard short blade. Okay, so that's clear. So you can see that they're just a little blade. They're still fine. They will still, I don't know how sharp these ones are. Yep, so they'll still cut. You still get this beautiful, and I'll get that paper off. And I'll go down to that one. So they will still cut. You'll still get a good fine tip with them, and you tend to get a lot of control with them. If you're not great at blades or you want to just get into blades, I would probably suggest looking for the smaller blades like these. They are really easy to use. You don't feel as intimidated as having a big long blade like that. See the difference in them? And you might have a little bit of better control. The other way, wrong one, the other way that these ones come, and I'm assuming you can still get them, are these. Now these look like a biro. Click it out and there's your blade, okay? Yes, I've lost the tip. I always lose the tips on mine. Same sort of thing. I don't reckon this one's sharp at all. Oh no, it's got a little bit in it. Okay, so you still get that wonderful maneuverability. And the best thing about one of these ones, your blade is gone and you're not likely to cut yourself by picking it up and having it slice through your finger or anything else. Okay, so they're your different types of blades. Oh, one more. These little beauties. And I know a lot of you use these, and I see on YouTube videos. I can't use these. I can't use them. They're similar to your short blades, but I can't snap these off. I feel, and I work with the knives all the time, these blades, I feel if I'm going to cut myself, it's going to be through trying to snap one of these off. So this is the one that we've got in the house just to cut parcels that come in. So I did hunt it out just for that. So they're your other type of blades. Now, these sorts of blades, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this one. I always use a ruler with mine, down the edge of that. So instead of the scissors this time, and I'm just going to go straight down. So this is fairly thin paper. When I'm cutting with a blade, don't try and go too hard, because if you move your ruler or move something, you've gone across your project. You are far better to do a couple of shallow cuts than a big heavy cut. This one's ready for a new blade actually, and I want to show you putting in a new blade. So you're far better off just to do shallow cuts instead of, and you might need to do 3 or 4 shallow cuts depending on what it is you're cutting, but that way you don't run that risk of going all the way around. And I will still do all my circles, my edges, okay, so that what you'll get is the same sort of thing. Now for fussy cutting. All right. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this just beautiful? So I've got, this is a Mintay paper called Traveller. If I can, I'll pop the website of the store that I got it from. Fussy cutting. Okay. I love fussy cutting. I use my blade and I use my scissors. I like little fine scissors if I'm doing something really fine. These days I tend to use these ones because they don't hurt my hand as much. If I'm cutting lots out with this, again, this is my bad finger and it hurts my finger after a while. So this one, my bad finger is not taking all of the pressure, so they're a wider one. These are very similar to the Tim Holtz ones that give you that big, deep grip handle. These ones are from Uniquely Creative. You'll find in my description box below there is a link to get you through to Uniquely Creative, my affiliate link. Please, it would be lovely if you did want anything through Uniquely Creative to go onto my affiliate link. It just helps me. But you can see these are very well worn. I love them. So what we're going to do is cut out 2 different things and show you the difference between cutting them out. What I'm going to do is just generally cut around at the moment just to pull them out. We might take that one and we might take that one. So I can show you the difference. All right, we've got many lovely, oh, speaking of that paper, look at the rest of that range, well, one piece of that range. Look at that for journal cards. Is that beautiful or what? You ready for the other side? Look at that. So much so I don't know which side I want to use, but I will be using them. I will be using them. Right, so a couple of different ways to fussy cut. Something like this, I'll pick up my blade because it's good as a pointer. Something like this, you could spend hours cutting in around all of this. Truly, it's not going to give you much difference. What I will do with these ones is, you know, when you buy a die cut, I don't know whether there's any left in that. Let's have a look. What have I got in those? Yeah, you know how when you buy a die cut they have that edge around them, or when you do a stamp and it has the die cut with them these days. We're going to make it that way because that way you don't need to be as efficient, effective, and we're just going to give it that. So we're just going to go round, curving it as we go. Get rid of bits as you go. It's a quick way of fussy cutting. You don't need to be that precise. That's the word I wanted. I'm going to go around there. And also, if you've got any funny little tiny bits that tend to hedge out, cut them off. Nobody's going to know in the end whether that was there or not, okay? Just, it truly, what you're thinking of when we tend to ooh and ah and fuss about the fact that, oh, what if this? You know, oh, but it's there and it's beautiful. How am I going to get round that? When it's only because you've seen it on there. That's all. Anybody looking at it after you've cut it out is not even going to know that something like that was there, and it's not going to be missing anything. We're just going to follow it round. Try fairly well to give it about an even border, but if you don't worry about it. So I'm not going to worry about that at all. So I'm just going to go back in here and around and back up and join back up with that one. That is a really quick, easy way to do a fussy cut piece. Now, I've moved that over, haven't I? If you're worried about some of these, like this, okay, I could technically go in there and all the rest. But what I'll do with them, didn't bring it out, is I like to ink. You all know I like to ink. And so I will use Tree Branch in the archival ink. It's a very light brown, and I'll use one of these blending brushes. I'll pick a little bit up, and I use my glass mat, and I'm just going to the edge, and I'm going in those small circles. But I'm starting on that glass mat. So I'm not starting dead on there, which will give you that big solid thump of colour. This is just going to keep going round. And the ink will take your eye away from where you might have some wonky cutting. You can go down there, and that's where these ones work a treat. You won't be able to do it as soft or just edging in when we use our foam, because our foam's for a different thing. So now what we've got is we've got that, but it's taken the eye away from anything that might not quite have been, I don't know, tickety-boo. My husband will laugh at that one. So that's that one. Our other way of fussy cutting, this one, is generally right on the edge. So you need to be a little bit more careful. Again, don't worry if you get a little bit of white or whatever the background is showing. Again, that's what your ink is for. Now, when you're cutting something like this, I'm going to stop up here. Something like this. We've got a little bit of white here. We've got a little bit of white here. Now, if I cut this one the same as I cut this one, those sorts of things are not going to matter. But because I want this one right to the edge, I'm going to take these pieces out. Does that make sense? But to do that, I'm going to need my blade. Now, I am going to redo my blade. So, pack a new ones. Now, this is where you need to watch yourself. I haven't never, and now saying that, I'll do that right now on screen. I have never cut myself changing a blade. So, this is the non-sharp end. Hang on to it with the non-sharp end. And then we're going to undo this, okay? Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So, left, what it's doing is undoing this at the top. So, this will now be loose. Undoing like that. This will then just come straight out. I will then put them into, beetle mothers, something like that, which are old blades. Don't just chuck it straight in your bin. So I tend to have containers around with old written on them, and they'll go in there, and then over time that whole thing will be chucked out. So getting a new blade out. They usually have like an oil on them, which keeps them rust free and keeps them together. This is where you don't want to cut yourself. So this is the top of my knife. Okay, this is the top of my blade. So this is going to slide into this section here. If it's too tight, undo it. Just undo it a little bit further, which will just make all this a little bit easier. Okay, watch when you're undoing it. Straight down. Push it all the way down. Don't leave it sitting out halfway or anything like that. Push it all the way in. That will hold your knife properly in there. I'm just going to turn that a little bit so that my knife, with these ones it's harder because you do have this flat surface at the top. The little round ones, the knife can go in anywhere. Still needs to be all the way in, but it can go in anywhere because there's no technical top and bottom. So I've got that in line with that, what I did have. Okay, so you can hold it up that way now if you're concerned, and then just righty-tighty, and we're going to start tightening it up. Before I tighten it all the way, I need to check how I've gone with there. Yep, and I'm just going to hang on to the top section of that. Tighten that up. I now have a brand new, very sharp blade in there. Right, so with a brand new, very sharp blade, I can cut anything I like. What I want to do is take this and this out. So I'm just going to, and I don't need to push very hard because it is a brand new blade. Most of us, when we're working with blades, we just habit forming. You want to get as much as you possibly can out of a single blade. So we will struggle with, I need to change that blade. It's not really working for me. It's all right, I'll just keep working on this bit and working on that bit. I'll get another week out of that blade. I'll get another month out of that blade. We're all like it. But really, if you're doing this sort of thing, you need a sharp blade. So straight up into there. You can see I'm not really having to put any pressure on it. Gone up there, I've gone up there. I'm going to turn this round to go down into that bit and around there. All I'm using is that tiny little tip for this sort of thing. There we go, and it's out. When I'm using it as an actual knife to cut, and I'm going to take that grey, that side, to actually cut my papers or anything else, or scrapbooking paper, cardstock, chipboard, any of that. Chuck that. Oh, here, look, I can cut down there. If I can find what I did with my knife a minute ago. Right. So when I'm cutting normally, hold it like a pen. If you're holding it right up, all you're cutting with each time is that last little tip. Really? Do we want to cut with that tip each time? You've got all that blade surface. So move it down. And it's just going to run along like butter. So do it. Just shallow cuts. You can feel it move away. You can feel it move away. Don't do that first cut and then take your blade away and go, your knife, what is it? A ruler away and move it, because it doesn't necessarily cut on that first go. You can cut the entire of your fussy cutting out with a blade if you like. You don't have to use scissors. Scissors are great, don't get me wrong. And depending on my mood on the day will be whether I want to use scissors or a blade or a combination of both. If I'm doing leaves, flowers, things like that, most of that will always be done with a blade because it's just too hard to get in and around most bits with my scissors, okay? So it's all these sorts of things that become painful when you're doing it. Just check. See how I'm pushing that down? I can see then if I've got something in there or if I haven't. So this is straight down like so. In like that. And you can see where it's cutting. Oh, sorry. That'll be one of the kids coming home and the dog's gone a bit mental. He gets very excited when people come home. Awesome. Right, so back with the scissors. That's his mother home. There you go. He's obviously telling her off for something. Oh, she's brought in a new bed for him. That's why. Right. Bits like this I will always do with both the scissors and my blade because I can go to each little section. So I'll do that section in there with my blade. Don't be frightened by blades. Truly, really. You'd be surprised at the wonderful look you will get with blades. You'll be able to get right in. See how there's all those bits there? So if I can go back with my blade now, and that just takes those out like that. Work out where they are. Go into the corner. Oh, done. Blades have their uses. Don't be frightened. I hear a lot of people say that they're scared of using a blade. Yes, a blade can harm you, I suppose. But do you not use a steak knife? Because, you know, a steak knife can hurt you. So it's the same sort of thing. So when I'm going to... So that one we did that way. This time I'm using my Distress Ink brushed corduroy. And I'm using the foam because the foam gives me a different look. And all I really want for this is to take that white core colour out. Okay? Like so. Just like that. So see how it's changing the look of it already and softening it all up because I'm now taking the little bits of white that were there. Now the only other bits we've got left are these little guys. So you can pop it in like that. You can get smaller ones of these. Don't get me wrong, you can get smaller ones. It's just something else to add to your desk. Otherwise, I tend to treat that as a square and just go in like that. Okay? How easy. Really, fussy cutting is easy. Fussy cutting is fun. So are blades. Right, so that's that. That's that. How am I going for time? Yes, I've got time to show you how to cut it. So these, you know, nice and easy. They'll just go on to these sorts of things. Oh, I might even, yes. But it was mainly just to show you what to do with them. So we've covered, oh, hang on. Clear stickers. Clear stickers. All right, again, I love clear stickers. A lot of people say they're a bit like serviettes. How do I get the backs off them? So, I have to find a longer one of those. These are just leaves. Let's find a couple of leaves. I use these all the time. Because, you know, I can put that in here. I can put that one over there. I can put this one in here and I can put some labels on there. Nice and easy. How's that? So with this sort of one, I'm going to put this one down first. What I tend to do, I use my blade again. So I'll usually find the smallest point. Okay. There's an up and a down, so you can see that this is the wrong side. This is the right side. So the right side will come away from that thicker acetate. And I'll just hold it up to the light, or for you guys, to the camera, and I'll hold it so that that tip is just a little bit out, I'll bend it forward and I'll use my blade and I'll just flick. That's all you've got to do. Just flick. And the blade will lift that up for you. And because we're on film, it won't. Oh no, there it is. So the blade's just lifted that and the blade's gone between it enough for me to pull that bit out. Like so. Now when you're using clear stickers, your fingerprint goes on there really, really easily. And I'll use tweezers. Again, they're the reverse tweezers, so I don't have to keep holding on to them when my hands are bad. So I have things that work for me. I want that around there. So I want this piece just about there. So I'm going to sit that on. Now you can sit them on like that. What I do with these then is I get my bone scorer or an old credit card or whatever else and I'll rub it in. What it does is gets rid of, look, all clear stickers are not the same. They're not made the same. Some of them are really good when you first put them down. Some of them not so much. Some of them have a real edge to them and you can see it. If I use my bone scorer or something like that and just work my way around that sticker, it flattens it right into the background and makes it look not quite so much like a sticker. So same thing, front, back, edge bit on the bottom, holding it between my pointer finger and my thumb so that I can just flick this bit. Sometimes they come away really easy. Oh, there it is. Sometimes they just come away. Sometimes they're a bit harder. Lifting it up. Careful not to hang on to too much. Grabbing it with my tweezers. Now I can work out where I want it for that one. I want it further up there, like that. Give it a little push. These ones are really good, obviously, because you can't really see that much anyway. Some of the washi stickers, they would probably be the biggest. Do I have any? I don't think I've got any of my washi stickers here. Now, let's have a look. Washi stickers. Right. You know these sorts of ones? And they're washi ones, so they've got that shiny backing. You peel them off, they're like washi tape, but they're just an actual sticker with different things written on them. Those ones especially work really well when you stick them down and then go over them with that. And it really flattens them in and they look part of the background. So that's that. That's that. That'll be stuck there, but I'll pop a few more labels on it. So that's our stickers, again, using our blade. Signatures, if I've got time. There, mate. Right. Book. Plain book. Just nor by the moonlight. No, nor the moon by night, like even. Right. If you have a look at this, see how it's sewn in? See how each one of these is what they call a signature? So you've got one here, one there, one there. They're already group of pages put together, bound together, and then placed in. So that's what a signature is, each one of those. So the easiest way to get book pages out, instead of just ripping them all out, if you've seen my part 1 of my altered book, I show you how to do this as well, but I thought we'd just have this for a quick reference. So if I lift that up, see how you can see here's the threads that's putting this in. So this one has 4 threads coming through, and I find the easiest way to do this is with quick unpick. I think people these days call them a seam ripper. I don't know, they're always a quick unpick when I was at tech school. So, and all you're doing is lifting this up and undoing that thread. 1, 2. They're a double thread. Most books you will find will be a double thread. picking them up. Because I'm talking, I can't do it. But I find this is the easiest way to get my book pages out. Yep, look at that. There we go. This is the cutting piece. Okay, so that one's out. Go back down here. All of my book pages. If I'm taking book pages out to use in other projects or whatever else, I will always just unpick them this way and take them out as double pages. So now, if you look, if I take just that bit out, that'll just lift out. And what I've got left is a double page spread. If I want, I can take it. Here's my signature. Now you'll find when you take your signature out, let's have a look and see how many pages are in this signature. That's centre, going there, going there. That's those ones. See how they all just come out? So let's see if we've got any more. Yep, that one. When it gets to the end of the signature, you'll find that the last 2 pages are glued in. So they won't come out with you. So as we're taking these ones out, that one, it's got to be getting close. So you can see the knots in here. There we go. You can see that that is the glued in part of the signature. So if you're then, let's say you'd use this book for an altered book, we're not going to because I'm going to change it again in a minute, you would then trim those out because they're not required now anyway because this is glued. Okay, so you don't need those in there. So all we're doing is cleaning it up. Okay, just like that. Pull out all your little bits, give it a blow. And that's how we do our altered books. It's the easiest way to do our altered books without having to glue all our pages together and all the rest. So now what you've got is a page in here. So it gives you this nice big gap to allow you to put flips and pockets, stuffed belly bands, big flips, envelopes and all the rest without it getting too bulky because you've taken out that. So this book's a good book because it would give you, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages, really, to do with as you wish. But let's say we want to gut this book completely. Okay? So what we're going to do, see if you look down here, see how this last page, this one, and I love these pages, beautifully stamped, beautiful to stamp. See how this last page is glued onto this page. This is again where your blade comes in. So what we're going to do is just open it out a little bit and we're just going to run our blade down there. Now quite often you'll find that these books have a webbing in them. Pulling that side, now we're going back up there. Right, there's that. So you'll see that there's a webbing in here. This is what we're chopping out. That's what that signature is actually glued to. That's why they won't fall out if you're making this into an altered book. I've had lots of people question that and say, but what's keeping them in there and all the rest? And that's why I wanted to do this, so that you can see this webbing. And I love this webbing. So here's another one. Okay, and I keep these and use these. So that would have been another one that was attached in there, and I've been able to pull it away from the webbing and get this. I love all these little bits and pieces. So go to the other side, do exactly the same thing. Open it out. You've got that gap there, straight down. There's your book now to use all those pages as you will. As I said, my favourite pages in all of these books are these blank ones. The paper is divine. It's got a slight texture to it. But what you'll also find when you're going into these sorts of books, Oh, and there's so many of these blank pages. I like books with chapters. So let's have a look and see. We have chapter numbers. So let's go down to 18, which is 158. 158, 156, 7, 8. Look at this. Oh, let's see if there's one. We've already pulled these ones out. They'll be easy to get to. We're looking for a chapter. Something else to do with your book pages. There'd have to be a chapter. 17. 15. 15's a good one. We'll go 17 and we'll go 15. So now I'm going to pull that apart. Move that. I'm just going to trim across there to make that a little bit smaller. So that what I can do... Lovely. And I'm going to trim that bit off. And I know that's not straight, but I just want a smaller piece. Because what I want to do with that... Circle punch. It needs to be smaller, see, because I'm going to get old in there as well. So let's try this one. Sitting that in, punching that out. And then what I've got are my numbers to use on my pages as tag bits, on pockets, on all sorts of things. There's that one. The other type, nice and easy. Let's say you don't have a hole punch or an oval punch. What did I do with it? There it is. Just cut it into a rectangle. Make yourself, open him out. We don't necessarily need this. Now, the only other thing you need to watch with your book pages is that quite often they're not straight. This one's pretty good. Some of the older ones are really not straight. So I'm just running that along this line here. And I'm just going to take that whole thing out. Okay, like that. Just to give me working room. I'm going to then work out the width that I want this. I'm thinking that's about good. That's about good. How's that for good English even? That's about good. There's that one. It's got a lovely patina to it, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm thinking, oh, I might actually go wider so it's a rectangle. Let's have a look. We'll go half there. As I said, my daughter came in with the dog's new bed that he pulled apart the other day, and his bed sits beside me at my desk. And he's already at it, and he's ripping it apart. Because he likes to sit in here with us when we're working. So now I've got a rectangle one. I love books. You can get so much out of books, even once you've pulled your pages out and you don't think you're going to use your pages anymore because you just wanted the book or whatever else. Look at that. Now you've got some ready-made ephemera for it as well. So that's just the start. I'd like to continue with a few more of these reference guides. If you've got anything you'd like me to follow up on, to come up with ideas that you want to know about, let me know in the comments below. As I said before, I will have the link to Uniquely Creative for some of their stuff. I will put the link, if I can remember, for the website for the shop that I bought that beautiful Mintay paper from. And yeah, let me know if there's something else you'd like to have as a reference guide. Thank you guys for following along with that. Till next time, happy crafting. Bye.